Let's also tell you about the apprehension at the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, Abuja, on Thursday, where protesting civil servants grounded activities after the minister, David Umahi, locked out over 300 staff and directors who resumed work late. Now, the public servants expressing their displeasure also confined the minister to his office, demanding an apology. Umahi prevented workers who came late to work from gaining access to the ministry over 4 hours after he arrived at 9:30 a.m. However, after the gate was opened, the workers comprising of both Housing and Works Ministry refused to enter the ministry and resorted to a protest. I am now joined by Nelson Ekujimi, a public affairs analyst, to help, of course, unpack this particular development. Nelson, thank you so much for your time. All right, Nelson, I believe you can hear me. Now, this protest, pretty much a surprising one, raises questions about workplace discipline and punctuality.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Great.
If you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you. Thank you so much. Now, this particular protest raises questions about workplace discipline and punctuality, particularly in government institutions. What's your general reaction? Yes, what's your general reaction first to this? And how can government ministries strike a balance between enforcing rules and maintaining a positive work environment for employees? Nelson, are you there?
Thank you very much. The show of shame by the workers is an embarrassment. I'm here with you. I hope you can hear me. Hello?
Yes, I can. Please
Hello?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Okay. I said the show of shame by the workers is an embarrassment to Nigerians, if I must tell you, because you expect that people who have violated their rules of engagement should be sober. But rather, what we have seen is a display of, nonchalant attitude, lack of respect, for constituted authority. Because for me, if somebody has come there to work, he or she deserves, to tender an apology. Because I'm sure when they got employed, the terms of resumption and the time of closure was, embedded in the contract, in the contract of engagement. And to see workers coming late to work and who have been reprimanded for this act of indiscipline, resorting to, labor agitation, is totally, condemnable. It tells you clearly why public service has continued to suffer in this land, why a lot of things are not being done as appropriate. I'm sure nobody could have done this if it was in a private establishment. You either get a COE, and if that continues, you get the boots. But sadly, the public service, the civil service, is one that has allowed, this type of behavior to come before us. And it's a sad commentary on our public service. I think the civil servants or the Nigerian civil service should cover their faces in shame. No excuse is tenable for you not living up to your rules of engagement. You don't have any excuse under the sun to come to work late and you want to claim your right. You don't have any right when you have violated the law. Your rights get suspended. So for me, it's a show of shame by the workers.
Now, part of the things the workers said is that they faulted it around effective communication. That's on the part of the minister to, of course, workers in the ministry. Now, how do you view the role of effective communication and leadership in preventing such conflicts, particularly between government officials and civil servants as seen in this particular situation?
There's this show of shame would never have occurred if the workers are turned up for work as at when due. So there's no two ways about it. This conduct has to be reported to the Civil Service Commission such that the workers involved will face disciplinary actions. There's no two ways about this, about communication. You don't need to communicate when you got your letter of employment. Your letter of employment stipulated when you are to resume and when you are to close. How can you be coming to work later than when you are supposed to have resumed? So there's no two ways about it, that this type of conduct must be condemned and they must be reported to the appropriate authorities to do the needful. There's no two ways about it. This is an act of indiscipline. This is an act of insubordination.
Now, talking about, of course, constituted authority and due process, part of what they also faulted the minister for is the fact that they felt he didn't follow due procedure, particularly not just as regards communication, even as regards the punitive measure, of which the minister said that the reason why he said the gates should be short is to allow him address sort of officially the people, waiting at the gates. But they felt that it was a bit high-handed. Now, the protest at the Ministry of Works and Housing involved both housing and works ministry staff. In your opinion, what common issues of grievance might have united these two groups, and how can this be sort of avoided in the future in terms of following due process?
What has united them is act of indiscipline. Like you and I know very well, it's a common balance that birds of a feather flock together. It's because those workers who were outside, whether they be of a Ministry of Works or Ministry of Housing, they are all culpable of, violating the laws or the rules of engagement regarding their contract of employment. So it is the indiscipline, it is the lack of respect for their contracts that made them to unite. So it is nothing new, it's nothing out of the ordinary. And again, no matter what the minister must have done, one expects the minister at this point in time to have summoned the permanent secretary of the various ministries, to lay the issues before them so as to prevent a reoccurrence. So it is not about, the workers, asserting any rights here. It is about them uniting, in acts of indiscipline that should ordinarily be something one should be ashamed of. It tells you clearly that the lack of values that we have seen over the years, it happen in our homes, in our religious institutions, has also, escalated to the workplace. That is why a lot of persons will tell you, what did they even do in the civil service than to sleep, gossip, and lay about. This is a testimonial to what the civil service has become. I'm not sure the Nigerian society would have been what it is today if the civil service was up and doing, unlike what you have seen. So there's no two ways about it. No matter what the minister must have done, it is an act of indiscipline for you to come late to work because you have a contract, and anybody that wants to assert a right must also be ready to, play his own part of the game. Like we say, he who must come to equity must come with clean hands. In this case, the workers who protested they didn't have any right to protest. They were coming to equity with soiled hands.
All right, before I let you go, in 30 seconds, I want to broaden this conversation just slightly. Now, outside the Ministry of Works and Housing, we are also seeing a bit of shake-up too when it comes to the FCT, where we understand that, of course, the minister of the FCT recently, laid off about 21 public servants.
Come again, I can't hear you. I can't hear you clearly.
Okay, I said that quickly before I let you go.
Pardon? Come again.
Quickly before I let you go. Outside the Ministry of Works, we are beginning to see a sort of wave happen across the ministries right now. We know that in the minister of the FCT, of course, laid off about 21 public servants. We're also seeing a bit of shake-up too happening within the Interior Ministry as regards the processing of, passports right now. What ways do you think government and even government officials, now the new appointees, can do? What can they do to make these ministries, number one, efficient, effective, and better productive?
Well, the ministry as an institution has its rules of engagement. It has, an ideal. It has a manifesto. It has a program of events. It is for this new hands on the decks to ensure that they play their own part as laid down in the rules of their department and agencies. There's no two ways about it. The worker in civil service, the worker does not need to bring in any initiative. The minister, as well as the PAMSEC and the directors, are the ones who will come up with the ideas. His or her own duty is to carry out the responsibility assigned to him or her. So it is expected that such civil servants will carry out such duties dispassionately, patriotically, as well as diligent in the conduct of their responsibility. In that way, the society, the government, the people will be the better for it.
All right, thank you so much for your time, and Nelson.